Hi, everybody. How are you doing? I'm Dr. Gail, and this is Nancy Jean for Nancy Jean's Garden. And thanks for being here today, Nancy Jean. She's
Oh,
got a lot of information for us about stones and the galactics and star seeds, etc. She has a lot of things to talk about. So let me see who's all here first. While they're coming in, I'm going to say hello to a few people. Nancy, so we can have as many people in here in the chat that we can for you to share all the information, which you have so much of, endless amount of information to share. Hey, Annie Bear, thanks for being here today. Hey, NCAR. Hey, Diane G. Hey, Barbara Berkman and Liz Daly. Hey, Leah, thanks for being here today. Or Lisa, I'm sorry. Um, hey, Diane G. Thanks for being here today. Hey, Jen Carr. Hey, Kathleen. Thanks for being here. Hey, Pamela Anderson. Hey, thanks for hey Lacey Gray. Thanks everybody for being here. Hey, CJ Dim. Hello from Michigan. They said hello. Thanks for being here today. Hey, Debbie through Shifting Veils. Everybody, thanks for being here. And Tina, I haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for being here on this Saturday. Thanks for sharing your Saturday. I hope everybody's weather's okay. It's absolutely beautiful here today. How about for you?
it's going to be in the low 80s today, but it's raining.
Oh, it's raining. Okay. Hey, Son of What? Hey, Emmy J. Thanks for being here today. And I am starting some questions. We'll see if we can get to some because Nancy Jean does have a lot to talk about today and information to share. So the floor is all yours, Nancy Jean.
Okay. Um, there are crystals that come from outer space to the Earth, and uh, most you've heard about meteorites, and they when they hit the Earth and they stay, they don't burn up. They're called meteorites, and if they don't if they find something looks like a meteorite but it's not, it's a meteor wrong. But meteorites, and I used to watch a show called Meteorite Men, and it's fascinating. And these guys went all over the world looking for it. But tektites are naturally glass objects, which crystals, the kind of when you're talking true crystals, they're light glass, formed by intense heat and pressure from meteorite impacts, or they're carried in with the meteorite. Now, the ones that come from impacts, I'm going to show you. And I have, for those of you who don't know, I have the infamous second camera, which I'm
I,
sure.
I'm laughing. You have to look at this laugh, Ing.
What?
Meteor wrong. You
Yeah,
see it?
meteor wrongs. Um, this is a tektite. This is made out of shungite, and shungite fell in the Shun area. It's in the Russian-Chinese border. 13 million years ago, there was a meteorite impact that I'm sure everyone is grateful they weren't around for, because it blew a hole so big that they're still mining this stuff. And this is 99.9% carbon. So we know it wasn't made on the earth, because nothing, just the way the planet works, we can't make 99.9% carbon naturally. So it hit this region, and this is a chunk of it. And this stuff is incredibly powerful. This stuff is like a miracle. If you grind it up and turn it into dust, which they've done, I don't know why it's so pretty, but you can run very polluted stuff through it and it'll come out pure water on the other end. It's just a really miracle object. Its molecular shape are buckyballs. It's like a geodesic dome put together, both like making a ball out of it. And it's a fascinating, fascinating stone. Um, uh, but shungite it's a very pure mineral. It's one that's not going to hurt you. You're gonna feel good at the end of that. Then
Well,
we have.
well, look at Patricia. She's saying she has a shungite cup. So she says, I don't use for drinking and lots of shungite pieces. And
Well, you could use it, Patricia. It wouldn't hurt you.
really, could she drink out of that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really hard. It's one of the hardest minerals you can dig out of the ground. So, yeah, it's not a diamond. And this piece is a peridot, and this is rough peridot that was that they found in the desert in Arizona. There was nothing to the paperwork. I think it may be the artifact of an old volcano. Because I can't believe that would be a meteorite peridot that rode in from the skies, and I got it for the price. I paid $350 for this. So I know it's not, but I do know it's peridot because it's a rock shop that's very ethical and good and tells you the truth. And this is all going to come into play. And then I had a friend who wanted to create a protection amulet for me. So she built this. And this has that's a little teeny tiny geode where my finger is tapping right now. That's moldavite. That's that stuff you hear about, the green stone. I don't know why everything from space turns green when it gets here, but peridot does too. It's a green stone. And then at the base of this is a rutilated quartz. And then there's a piece of rose quartz and amethyst. And I wear this when I read. I wear this when I go out. When I was in Colorado, I wore it in every rock shop to keep the extra rock energy off of me. Moldavite, I'm going to warn you, can be that, and that's a good size chunk of moldavite. You can see how big it is to my finger. Moldavite is a very, very precious stone, and it's forged a lot. So you want to go to a good gem place if you're going to get that. And so anyway, that's kind of my personal collection of little stones here. And those are all called tektites. And tektite is a stone, whether it's made on the earth by a meteorite hitting it, or it's made up in the stars, and when it rides in with the meteorite, we find it. It's thought to help spiritual communication with and entities with your own psychic abilities. It's associated with rapid spiritual transformation and awakenings. And in part, I think that's because the people who use it become attached to their ET, their things that y'all thought you were going to come hear about today. They can also be used for grounding, protection, and connecting to extraterrestrial energies. And the word tektite is a Greek word, and it means melted or molten. And so when I was reading some articles on it this morning, I was reviewing, because there's always new material they're finding about it. And there's a kind of meteorite called a palisite meteorite, and you can find images of it on the web. And I couldn't get any I could steal and be ethical, so I decided to be ethical today. But what it's got is pictures of peridot from space if you want to go see it. What did I do here? Well, you all know I build grids. And Barbara, you're going to get to see your grid today. One of the ladies is in the chat is in my stack of 4 grids that I'm mailing this week. This is a map of a grid you can build at home for yourself if you want to build a grid to get you in touch with that extra Liberian desert glass is where.
Is he saying Liberian
Or should be say Liberian? Liberian desert glass. I don't have a piece of that. Liberian desert glass is where meteorites hit the desert, and when they hit, they're so hot they melt the sand and they create. They're beautiful crystals. I don't happen to have one, and I've never touched one. I know.
Why is it? I thought that happened here in the Carolinas.
It can, but the reason they call it Liberian desert glass is those guys I talked about, the meteorite men, they realized that the Sahara Desert is a perfect place for meteorites to hit and be there forever. So what they did is they trained the people that go across the desert how to spot where meteors have hit, and they dig them up for them. Because I've seen the guy who was on Meteorite Men talk twice. He sells meteorite stuff that he finds, and he's got people set up. Yeah, when meteorites hit, they leave stuff behind. And I'm not going to I'll do a whole show on my channel about what meteorites leave, but they hit the ground so hard that they take what's there and melt it and spew it out.
Okay.
Okay. So for those of you who are interested in a grid, and I know a lot of you are like, I want to talk to my ET family and everything. The way you would build this grid is this is a grid, and this is my legend and placement of where to put it. I'll explain it to you, but
And this is how y'all
you
can
can
build.
build this at home. I pulled this together in 15 minutes. Of course, I have $1 billion worth of rocks behind me, but in the middle, I put my little Arizona peridot, and that's the heart. That's representing the cosmic love and your own wish for transformation. And then the first ring here, we see this is north, south, east, west. And that is because that's where it is in my house. North, south, east, west. When you do the cardinal points, you can put in the cardinal points other tektites or peridot or other sorts of grounding stones for you, but something that symbolizes the earth to you. And I didn't, like I said, I threw this together quick, kids. So I'd probably put fluorites in there because for one, they're cheap, and for two, they are very, very. You can get them in any color, and they're inexpensive. I'd put 4 fluorites around the peridot. Then you have an outer ring, and what the outer ring is, and I would do these with quartz because, and I have sitting here with an entire sack of teeny tiny little quartzes. You can get a small sack of these that would be.
Are you wanting them to put clear quartz on the outside, or
I would put clear. I'd put clear quartz, but whatever floats your boat. If you've got something with a point on it, this actually has a point. Not much of a point, but it's got a point. If you want to broadcast your energy out into the galaxy, out into the galactic, you put your point pointing out. If you want them to send you the messages into you, this is you, you point the energy in. And I do that with my own grids. You'll see that when I do other kinds of grids, I do that.
And what if you want both?
You can just switch them. It's your grid. You built it. Tell it what to do. Give it the intentions. And I'm going to be hearing from aliens all day because this is a new moon day. But you just put them like this. You just put them out there. And I can't see them so well. I'm sorry. This was a very.
Do you have any suggestions of what they're to put it on?
I would put it on a piece of dark paper so I could see it.
Like what kind of paper?
Craft paper, printer paper. You could put it on a special piece of cloth if you have a nice piece of. I had one lady who built a grid on a napkin. She had a beautiful napkin that she really liked that was linen, and she felt it was quality, so that's what she put her grid on. I will guide people through building grids. Normally I build them for you, but anyway, the logic is in all grids is you're at the center. What you want is most important. That's why I put the peridot, because that's the most important stone. If I had a chunk of moldavite to put in there, I'm not sure I'd risk it because moldavite is so intensely energetic.
Well, there's so many people, it seems like that moldavite doesn't even affect. They wear it all the time.
Some people do, and Cash Peters can't put it on his body.
I don't have it around me either. I have a piece of it, but it's like over there.
I'm not, you know what Cash Peters said today?
What?
He's been told several times that he's a hybrid alien or alien completely.
What? Cash Peters, who said how many?
Yeah, I know. You got to watch today's show. Anyway.
I will, because several years ago.
He said he doesn't care. His attitude is kind of like mine. I don't care.
I just remember several years ago him saying aliens didn't exist.
Well,
I'll have to listen to him.
He probably doesn't see the difference between a human and an alien if he's an alien.
Yeah, so
that's kind of my attitude. I know.
Well, I like him a lot, but I just remember him. This is a big turnaround. I'm going to really have to listen to that.
Yeah, well, it's because he's been diagnosed with synesthesia, where he hears things but he sees pictures. It works. That's how he ended up seeing the things. That's how he draws this. Anyway, we're not going to do another ad for Cash's show. He's got enough people.
But I am going to look at that show because I'm in shock right now.
I know. Anyway, so, and I didn't mean to do that, but this is a grid you can build for yourself. And when I first was building grids, I encouraged people to build their own grids, but people being people,
Well, that
some
would
of
make
them
sense.
didn't.
I'm going back to Cash Peters, but it will make sense of the message I have for everybody today. That makes perfect sense why I have that. So, but go ahead. I'm sorry, it's Nancy Jean.
So these are grids I make, and these are grids that are affixed. They're locked down. This one's called Alchemy, and this is a frequency of magical abilities, of remembrance of the magic that surrounds us all that we hold inside, how we will have the potential to access this ancient knowledge and allow it to become part of us. That's what that grid's built for. This grid is, I'm going to raise a little bit so you can see more of the grid. Okay.
Here's a question for you.
Okay. This grid is, and I'm making everybody who has motion sickness, I'm sorry, I have it too.
That's what I think. But Patricia says now that you have your grid, where best to place it? She says she feels like on altar or around altar.
Either one, or its own little place where you look at it every day and recommit to it. This is a grid called perception, and the energy of perception. And this has a lot of fours in it because she's building a whole new base for her life to be built on. The frequency of perception supports our natural curiosity, moving beyond our comfort zone to find the edges of what we perceive and how that affects us. And it's coming, Barbara. You're not the next one, but you're the one after that. She's been very patient. I bred her on the 1st, but it's been a difficult month. And so when I don't feel well, I can't build grids. This is called compassion. And the frequency of compassion supports our abilities to stand by others without judgment and to be in the divine mediator between heaven and earth. And where this lady is in her life, that's where she's going with things. And
I want all 3. They're pretty.
Okay, yeah, they are. I know everybody wants all 3, but they're already gone, and there'll never be another one like it because they'll never be the same size.
Oh my gosh, now a purple one.
This, I know. This is a combination of 2 forms, remembrance and authority. And it's really important because she pulled one card and then we realized we weren't done. We were just told, you're not done. So I got to make 2 grids in one. This is this part, the big stone here and the feathers around that.
Is that feathers?
They are not feathers. Those are amethyst points from Brazil. They're from a special mine in Brazil. Okay. The frequency of remembrance supports the memory of everything we've gone through in this soul body and providing us with valuable information and tools to flow through this life. And then what she's getting is what's in the center here. This part represents that card, authority. And the frequency of authority reminds us of our true authority to be powerful, directed, and realize that true authority is based on being receptive, wise, and loving. And this stone, it's the last one I had. You're getting a deal. What
is it?
It is a teardrop quartz that was mined and shaped in the Himalayas.
Oh, wow.
When you hold that, it just buzzes. But anyway, enough of my commercial for today. But those are big grids that you set up that become permanent part of your life. You lay intentions underneath them and you use them. This grid that I'm telling you about now is if you keep calling Dr. Gail, how can I talk to my galactic family? Set this up and say, 911, I'm calling.
So everybody, this is, again, a grid that you make yourself.
Right. This one's a grid. Now, I've told Dr. Gail, I'll be nice. If you write to me, I will correspond with you about it. But I will not. I don't have a formula yet for making these. And I'd have to check supplies for Tektite stones, because I think it should be made completely of Tektite stones if possible.
Okay. With the cards that you use, the sacred geometry activation cards that you use to pull, I use those cards as my
Right.
for people for Arcturians.
Yeah,
For
that lady, Lon, did not invent that deck for me to make grids from it.
So anyway, there you go,
Barbara,
everybody.
thank you. I'm glad you love it. I think it's beautiful too.
It is. They were all beautiful.
And I really did read her on the 1st of March, and it took me until 4 days ago to really
This
feel
is a good
confident.
This is a really good question. Are grids similar to medicine wheels? That's a great question.
I don't know I don't know how a medicine wheel works.
Well, I don't think it's the same. Annie Bear, you probably could educate us more than I could, but the grids are more like your intentions and what you want to happen. The
Well,
medicine wheel is how you move around in your life, moving to different points and experiencing different things.
If that's
four directions. Yes. Yeah, so I mean, even though Nancy Jean's grid are directions, those are like intentions that you're putting out there that you want to happen. Whereas the 4 directions in the wheel is things that you're experiencing. Yes, above, below, within, and that's the medicine one. They are kind of totally two different. I can see how, because of the directions.
They're all this. It's the same story at the end. You got to get to what's in the center,
right?
And that's you. Now,
it makes sense. Okay, good, Annie Bear. Yeah, she says that makes sense.
Because that's one reason why I love fluorites when they're in their octahedron form, the 8-sided form, because to me, that's the perfect embodiment. And I don't think there's a culture they found where they do active prayer that doesn't have above, below, to the left, to the right, to the front, to the back. And when you point to those points and you connect them, you create an octahedron.
Right. But in the medicine wheel, this is more of you physically going into each direction and experiencing it. And that's how you move through life.
Okay. The first grid I showed, alchemy, you notice there were 3 bigger stones in there. There's 3 centers to that because that person is actually moving through a series of changes that are that important to their life. But you can medicine, I mean, whatever floats your boat. When I first began to understand and work with gridding, I understood it was like a little battery that we put our intentions in, and the stones, I pick them because they have creative properties that's like a generator that sits behind you. So I would imagine if you're working with a medicine wheel, it's like a generator that motivates your energy to move to places. And a grid does the same thing.
Well, it is not exactly. It's like your life is being divided in different directions. Okay, like right now, when you're older, you're in the direction of north. When you're in a new beginning, you're usually in the east. And sometimes you can you do bounce back and forth and different things happen in your life, but it's more spending time in that direction. So Claire's got a good idea. She says you could sit with a medicine wheel, inside a medicine wheel, and focused on the grid, which would be perfect.
What do I feel about green calcite? Calcite is like adventuring. If it's green, it's dealing with your heart. If it's blue, it's dealing with your communication. If it's yellow, it's dealing with getting things moving and luck. I feel like those stones in particular are tied to the chakras. That's a question that showed up in it.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I saw that. Anybody? So let me see. I missed it a minute ago. Could become a macabre.
I am actually building one right now. I'm going to have a show.
Let us know, Annie Bear, about that, because that's a good question. If you're standing inside of the medicine wheel, holding your grid, would that become a macabre? I would think it would. I would, but I don't definitely know the answer to that.
Well, I'm going to build a grid, and I'm going to do it on my channel because so many people have said, can you show us how you build a grid? I did the first part. I did the reading for the person that this grid's for. There's someone who's a friend, so they'll wait forever till I finish. And the 2 cards they pulled were Merkaba. No, Merkaba.
Would you explain the Merkaba to our new people? They're probably
Okay.
going, what is that?
Merkaba is if when you go through and when I teach my crystals class, and I've been told I got to get it started by June, but when you do it, you get to a point where in Platonic geometry, in the Platonic solid geometry, you get to a point where you create a pyramid. And what happens with the pyramid is if you took this pyramid and then had another pyramid come between it, so its point was down here, and it has all these points sitting out. I think you can see it in the card.
Yeah.
Okay. And a Merkaba is, and Jeffrey knows what Merkaba means in Hebrew. And it means something very important. And my mind just blanked. Sorry, Jeffrey, you're a good teacher. But anyway, this particular grid I'm going to build is going to have a Merkaba. And then the background of it is delight. So, and I don't normally, I haven't until recently. Well, I guess I'm getting pushed that way by the universe. I don't normally combine cards, but I'm doing that now.
Wait, once White Dragon built a 6-foot Merkaba out of PVC pipe. You could stand in it. And I found out the material is unimportant, just the geometry.
It is.
That makes sense.
You're right, White Dragon. And if you can, and because we're all vibration and we're all energy anyway, whatever you physically build really is only there because your energy allowed it to be. So you can build it around you energetically.
Well, also,
what's the difference?
No, I'm getting ready. I'll wait to Tina's in just a minute because I have a question on the Merkaba. I feel like I've gotten in a Merkaba before and I've traveled in it. Is there any other things that the Merkaba is used for other than just traveling? Because I've gone down into Earth with the Merkaba, and I've gone out in space with the Merkaba, sitting inside.
If you trace it in sacred geometry, it's the ultimate geometric form.
Right, but what I'm saying, what else is it used for besides traveling?
Oh, because we're all energy. It's the best thing you can put around your energy to protect it.
Okay, it can use it for protection. Okay, so now let's go to Tina's. What's the difference between obsidian and shungite?
Oh, and I happen to have 2 pieces on my very desk. This came from a volcano. It's just and it cools so quickly. It's just like glass. And I have some obsidian. Where'd they go? I have my very own little obsidian show and tell. This is the dark blue. Isn't that gorgeous?
It is pretty.
That's obsidian. That's the same thing as that black guy. This is the dark green. It almost looks like it was human made, right? But it's not. It's yeah. Well, that's because it's got copper in the lava when it came out. This is the sky blue.
Oh, that's pretty too.
And this is yellow. And when you see it in real, I don't know if it shows yellow. It kind of shows clear, but it's really yellow. But those are all kinds of obsidian I found when I walked into this one store and I said, I had just read about different colors of obsidian. Green assists in healings, wounds, and traumas, if you can get a chunk of that. The indigo, the dark blue, can assist in breaking barriers and opening closed doors. And the yellow, that looks white, is helpful for people who do not feel confident. It ties to your solar plexus and helps you tie to that energy. And
he's saying that explains why shungite bleeds. Is it lava?
It's lava. And Obsidian that's just this blue is enhancing communication skills. It's also great for blocking negativity. So that's another one of those shows I do about where does
Yeah.
obsidian come
I
from?
didn't know there was different color obsidians either until Nancy Jean showed me her collection of them. I was like, oh, they're beautiful.
And I happened to walk into a rock shop in Colorado the week they had gotten those from this mine, and they were just setting it up, and they had already sold out of all their red.
Wow. Well, here's Patricia. She wants to know if Archangel Metatron is known for working with Merkaba or what is referred to as Metatron's cube. He gave me a super Merkaba in my soul star chakra.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Merkaba tapestry on the wall at the head of the bed.
That's true. It's the most, if you do a thing, if you watch, Gaia has a really good series on sacred geometry, and unfortunately the guy who put it together and edited it and narrated it, he just died like
who was that?
I can't, he's a guy who's got the real soothe NPR kind of voice. I saw somebody said blessings to him for all the work he did. Yeah, Jack, I think is his first name. I'm not sure, so I don't know if you know Jack. I'm sorry if that Jack did die.
And here's Annie Bear saying we are Merkabas when we're fully functioning. We then, yeah, yeah. I just have seen myself many times traveling in a Merkaba that I just step in and head on out. The most fascinating time was when it went spinning down into the ground when I went into Earth.
Well, it's a fascinating form. And did I completely hijack your show, Dr. Gail? Do you need to talk to people about where they came from?
Oh, we're doing fine. This Jen says the Palladians unlocked my Merkaba during an Akashic reading.
That's true. Yeah. They can do that.
Yes. So let me go ahead. I have started 18 questions. So let me go ahead and take a look at these. Do you have anything else that you want to?
No, if anybody wants to know anything more about it, they can get a hold of me through at the Gmail, crystaldirections.nancyjean@gmail.
Yeah, and you're simulcasting, so you can find all that information on her show, on the show, or her YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see.
Come over and support and join my channel, because if you do that, then you'll know when I'm going to do my special little things.
Okay. All right. Here's in-car. Hi, Dr. Gail, Nancy, and all. Any messages from me from up there? Thank you. Love and light to you all. So what are you going to do readings on? Are you going to do cards, garden? What are you going to do today?
I'm going to do the cards. I'm going to get...
And people, Nancy, why don't you tell people what you do, people who don't know who you are? Tell them a little bit about yourself.
Oh, that's a question beyond measure.
Besides the lady with purple hair.
Yeah, I'm a lady with purple hair. I'm going to get crystal medicine. Wait a minute. I work with, I'm one of those people who was an unfortunate brat in my first part of my life and knew I was always weird and special and just sort of forged my own path. And I took the hits, and I was fortunate. I lived in a, my parents never understood who the hell I was. Even my dad said, right, last time I talked to him, I've never understood who you are, but I'm grateful you were here. So, you know, I kind of hope everybody if everybody thought that of me, I'd be okay. But from the time I was small, I knew I had past life memories, and I would talk about them to everybody. And my mother was constantly punishing me. She would isolate me. You can't go talk to people because you're telling them lies. And I wouldn't tell them lies. I was telling them where I'd been. It didn't work. Anyway, when I was 12, I tripped across a tarot deck at a slumber party. And, you know, when you're little kids and everybody's playing with it, they're like, oh, that's fun. And then when I would put the cards down, they made sense. And so I kept doing them, and I've done them all my life. I did them in college. I learned I could remote view in college. I learned how to use a lot of different skills just by sort of stumbling around trying to be different and being a child of the 60s.
Thanks,
Then,
Rosie.
and then I got, I was given a full-blown real adult tarot deck when I was 21 from my ex-husband, who thought it was kind of funny. And he thought it, oh, you think you could do these things? And then people would tell him she's doing it. And I read on and off, not as a real reader, but just as a person out there that was curious. I took an incredibly interesting year and a half long course in astrology, enough to learn that I really appreciate astrology. I think it's true. I don't want to do it. And
well, at least you understand it.
Yeah, and then I stumble along. Yeah, so I stumble along. I get divorced, as we do, and then got married again, as we do sometimes. And I married a physicist who was a pioneer in microchip technology. So, guys, I mean, and he was older than me. He'd be like almost 100 years old now, and he was one of the first people who built front ends and microchips and stuff. And people used to say to him, "Why do you hang around with that person who reads cards?" And he said, "Because what she's feeling is real." And he was a poor person who took it upon himself to try to explain quantum physics to me. I never really I get it now. I mean, I understand how I live it, but to me, I don't care what the rules are. I just know it works. And
the kind of readings that you do. So when people get in contact you and want a
I
reading.
do tarot readings. I do past life readings. I do garden readings, which is a metaphysical tool I invented. You ought to come along just to see it because it's lots of fun. I do a year reading, and starting in June, I will be doing a 6-month reading, which will be June to December of this year, if you're interested in that. I also work with crystals, as you can tell from me building grids. Grids was a total, started in 2017 and never kind of ended. And it was just something I fell into. I knew nothing about crystals. 7 years ago, I could have cared less about crystals. And now I live in a room full of them. So I build crystal grids and I try to teach. My goal, the reason I created Nancy Jean's Garden, and I did not create it. The universe created it for me. It woke me up one night, walked into my room that's now my office, and there was a big brick wall. And I went, "What the hell? That wasn't here when I went to bed." And it said, "Paint the wall." And I said, "Paint the wall." And I looked, and there's a big paintbrush and a bucket of paint. So I painted the wall. The wall dissolved, and beyond it was this big garden. This was in December of 2020 when we were still on lockdown. And I said, "What's this?" And they said, "It's your garden. You're going to create a space where people can come and bring their talents and plant their seeds, and you're going to help them grow." And I said, "Okay." So I mentioned it casually to my 2 children the next day. By the way, and within 48 hours, my computer whiz kid had a website. He had a YouTube station. She is good friends with a woman who does graphics for the History Channel, and so they had a whole intro and a whole thing. I mean, they're like a real deal. And they said, "You're on." And so 48 hours after the vision, I was on. And that's been the whole thrust of my garden, is to teach you how to take care of yourself, because I know I am here for an infinite amount of time and not an indefinite amount of time. And so as much as I can impart to people, and all my old shows, I'm thinking about going and reviving them. I do a whole show on the number 1. I do a whole show on crystals. I do a whole show on different parts of things, so that you can say, "That fires my imagination," and you'll follow it. So that's what I do.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get back to in-car.
Okay.
All right, in-car. I pulled out of my Starseed Oracle deck for you, and the card I pulled was water your own garden, water your garden. This is telling me to take care of yourself, nourishment, body care, tenderness, rest.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting this, that you need to slow down in-car and take care of yourself, because there's a lot coming your way here in the future. I mean, I'm hearing rest. There's something in the future. What are you laughing at, Nancy Jean?
I got medicine drum, heal yourself.
There you go. Yes.
And
So,
that's malachite, and that's a beautiful stone.
yeah.
It's malachite. And you've just hit that point, and you see all those beautiful greens in there. And it's really the pain, the dysfunction in car starts in your heart.
Yeah.
Moves out.
Okay. Before we get away from, I have an important message for people, in which when we talk about cash beaters, it makes perfect sense. And it's about this channel. This channel is bringing us together for a safe place to talk about the galactic things that happen to you. It's saying, come out of the closet. We've been ridiculed since the 40s and 50s about what we're seeing and what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And we've not been validated about what has been happening to us. So now they're asking us to start coming out of the closet and sharing your information and things that have been happening to you with people. And so I do think this is important, because I've never had a message about reverting back or letting them show me about what happened in the 40s and 50s, about everybody being hushed, everybody being telling, no, that didn't happen to you, you're crazy. You're and Jen Carr saying, yeah, without Dr. Gail, I'd be in the nut house. And that's true with a lot of
That's
us.
true. They would literally, when I was a kid, if you went out, I mean, it was hard what I did, but there was a history of burning us, which we won't go into, but
Yeah.
And I used to always tell people it's witch, not that other word you used. But you're right, Dr. Gail. And our time has come. I mean, people understand it.
Which is insane. I just said on Facebook today, no more caring what people think. I know who I am and what I'm here for. There you go. That's exactly what's going on. And Lauren saying that is absolutely true for her. That is absolutely true for me also. And that's what they're asking. And I know a lot of us here have stepped out and are stepping up. And this is the place to get comfortable with that, because you have your support here. You have the people who have had similar things happen to them, so they know you're not crazy. They know. I didn't think I was crazy as much as I thought I had a brain tumor when everything was starting. So I kept going, I need an MRI. Something's wrong with me. But anyway, so everything's turning around and we're coming together, and the support of each other. We're allowed to come out and talk about it, get our support system together. Then we might be able to talk about, like y'all were talking about on Facebook and things like that. So that was my message today. And I've never received anything like that before. So, that's the message today. And it was perfect when you're talking about Cash Peters, because then apparently he's coming out about it too.
Yep. And he's known for years. He said years ago he paid to go to 5 psychics. And the first 3 said, you're an extraterrestrial. I can't even read you. He said, they didn't give me my money back.
But he was in such denial of that, though. I'm just finding that fascinating, that he was in such denial. And I can remember I was pretty upset with him when he was denying that they even exist a few years ago. And I just kind of brushed it off and I went, I'm just going to do my own thing.
Well, people can have Cash is sort of a strange, different person. I think he's accurate.
We all are.
Yeah. But I've lived long enough to know that those are the best kind. Yeah. And, I look at the people who, in the 70s, when I worked psychic fairs, we used to have to walk to get into the psychic fair to set up our tables. We had to walk through a line of Christians waving their Bibles at us. Mm-hmm. I live in the Bible Belt. And I was like, I'm not standing outside your church saying, read these cards. Am I? No. What are you so afraid of? And now I know what they were afraid of, because we're eating their lunch. But I actually I am a Christian by birth, by raising, and by temperament in many ways. As I believe in the Christ consciousness. But my priest let me teach a Sunday school class in Christian symbols in the Tarot. So I'm just saying, find the right friends.
Yeah, find the right friends, find the right crowd, and we're here to support each other. And this is allowing us with a support system. We're not individualized. We're not sitting over in our corner in our closet going, "Oh, my mom or my friends think I'm crazy. I'll never talk about it again. Never going to say anything. I'm
Mhm.
not going to say what's happening to me. I'm not going to say I went up in that spaceship. I'm not going to say I saw that gray over there in the corner. We're not going to talk about that anymore." And I was one of those. And
Well,
but we have the support system here now that we can do this. We can tiptoe out there out of that closet and express ourselves. But this is the place that you can start expressing yourselves. And if anybody here in the chat would like to come on and talk about their ET experiences, go ahead and email me at drgailstarseed@gmail.com. And bringing people on with experiences helps others open up. Because I talk about my experiences. If you hear somebody else talking about theirs, then that'll help other people open up because all of our experiences are not the same.
no, and we're not all supposed to come to him the same way, and we don't all come through the same disciplines. I have astrologers. The lady who taught me astrology, I really deeply loved, but I couldn't do it. It was not what I did. I did what I did, and I found quite the opposite, Dr. Gale. My whole life, I found what I did attracted people until they got afraid. And then I learned to let them go because once they start to fall into fear, there's nothing you can do.
Here's Lauren. She says, "I'm doing what you said and beginning a strong support system. A new friend is so knowledgeable. We have known one another for 7 years. She called a few days ago to ask about galactic beings." Yes, and that's also going to be happening a lot more and more. When you're becoming more secure about what your experiences are and what's happening, you're going to be able to have your friends or these odd people who might call you and are able to talk about it. And they'll be talking about it on a one-to-one. They're not quite ready to come out and talk about it here on the show,
Mhm.
but they might talk about it to one person, and that's huge. That's a big thing. If they can talk about it and you're sitting there validating, going, and not looking at them like they're crazy. You're sitting there going, "Yeah, well, listen to what happened to me," and then make them feel better.
I have a quick question. I have a quick query out there. I read a lady and she lives in Albuquerque, but she's become virtually shut in from COVID because of health problems. And during this time, she's awakening and she has the high priestess in her like position now. This woman's growing like a weed, but she doesn't know anyone. I can't believe this. She knows no one in Albuquerque to talk to. I said, Albuquerque? I used to go from Dallas to Albuquerque so I could find people. But um, if you're in Albuquerque and you know of a group this woman might be able to get in touch with, email it to me. I mean, I swear she's sane. She's okay. She's normal. She just has been a shut in for a while.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me go back to his questions. Now, we have gotten way off.
Boy, have we gotten off the top. I told Dr. Gale, oh, I won't hijack your show.
She did say that. In fact, you had a message because you called me yesterday. "Can I come on your show tomorrow?" I said, "Sure." I said, "You do know what my show's about, don't you?" Yeah, I'm okay with that. Okay. Um, let's see. Kathleen, why don't we pull her up here? Can I get a message from my galactic family?
Okay. I'm going to approach your galactic family from a slightly different angle. I'm going to ask my fairies.
Yeah, I think this is interesting to see your approach to it because galactic beings are just different spirits out there. It doesn't matter if they're angels, they're your guides, or they're elementals. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I do a lot of work with elementals. That came up in the last. I always sort of forget them. I'm sorry, guys, and they take it out on me. Whoa. Um, they don't have the best temperament. Um,
all the elementals I've ever dealt with have great temperament. I would
they're
say
wonderful as long as you're cooperating. Trust me.
I was going
The
to say
sec-
now the gnomes were the only ones I felt a little because they were so noisy. They were the only ones that were a little, but I did what they wanted me to do.
yeah. See, I went looking for my shungite egg today, and it's gone. And I said last night, "Gee, I can't wait to pull out my shungite egg and show it to people." They hide my decks too, guys. Just letting you know. Oh, you got a fun card.
But you get
she's spoiled. She's the brat. When you come up with this card, where am I a tiny bit spoiled? Do you tend to put your desires ahead of others? Do you neglect feelings of others or treat them rudely? Do you stomp your feet? You need, and the reason you do this is because you're afraid. Open up and blossom from within. It's
Oh,
not too late. Be gentle with yourself and others. Be patient. Grow up and embrace into a guided adulthood. The brat's just a bit misguided, but has lots of energy. Release your old selfish self, live in harmony, embrace life and good, embrace my divine expression, and spoil yourself today.
well, that I'm getting fall into my arms, and it's saying surrender,
Mm-hmm.
holding the opposites extremes of life. So this is asking you to surrender to what is happening now. Let go of some of that in the past. Surrender to what your future is.
Yeah, and I think your galactic family pushes you at times in directions that you go, I don't want to go there.
They do that to me all the time. In fact, when you were reading on me, we were saying you were up there arguing with them.
Oh yeah, well that's different.
You said
That's
you were up
I
there
think it's really
arguing. I
snotty.
never argue with them. I just go, okay, all right, I'll do it. But you said I didn't want to do what they were asking me.
Yeah, they wanted me to do, and it's not that. It's that I've been given a lot of stuff to do, and like they come up with one more thing, and it's 75. I'm like, F you. And they actually kidnapped me, and I was on a heart monitor, and I disappeared off the heart monitor for 4 hours, which freaked the doctors out. And when I came back, Dr. Gail actually went in, and I knew it was not pleasant where I'd been and what had gone on around me wasn't pleasant. And they dragged me up there one last time, and since then I've had an intermediary who also works with this particularly high thought of group of celestial beings. I'm in trouble with them because I love humans too much and I just want to help humanity. And they're like, you're not staying detached.
Uh,
Jen
well,
Bushman. Okay.
yeah, Jen Bushman. Yeah, that's what they're saying, that she's there. I didn't know that she was there. I thought for some reason, I thought she was in the Northwest.
She may have moved when she got in, she may have moved when she got into crystals.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I thought she was way up there. I forgot. I lost my train of thought on that one.
Am I?
Yeah. Well, whenever I was up there, I mean, most of the time when I am not wanting to do something or they're pushing me to do something,
Mm-hmm.
it's usually something that requires me of public speaking or getting up in front of people. That's usually when I'm getting my pushback of, oh, I don't want to do that. Because I'm very, very introverted. So when they're wanting me, like even putting messages out like this, I'm not always the one that's like, okay, you really want me to do that? And so I'll usually push back on that kind of thing.
I don't. When I found out that the number one human fear is public speaking,
Oh yes, that's me.
I went, what? What? Turn the key in the back. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, she moved to Jen. She I can't even get it out of my mouth. Jen moved to New Mexico a year ago.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's see what we have here. What's our next question? Pamela Anderson wants to know if she's an Arcturian. Well, that's a good question, Pamela. Well, where did you get that information that you were, or you feel like you're affiliated with them? Let's check first. You want to read on that?
Yeah. It's what I got for you among the fairies is just you're something wild.
Yeah,
and I can believe that because Arcturians tend to be a little bit different.
I'm Arcturian too, so
I've been told that I am Andromedan and Arcturian. I think are the two.
Yeah. Yeah. I get in a big yes, Pamela, that you are Arcturian. So we validated that for you. Okay, we're going to take this one last question. Let me see if I can find it. Do you see one that you want to take, Nancy Jean?
The key word for you, dear, is change. And I think that works with Arcturians because they're there to help others change.
Yes.
Okay. Who else were you going to ask? What else?
I'm asking you if you see one that you want to answer.
Mm.
Do you see a question that you'd like to do? Because I've got 22 star. I can pick any, mini, miny, mo, but I just didn't know if you saw one that you wanted to ask or take.
Someone always dreams of water. Demarius?
Oh, Damaris. Hey, Damaris. I always dream of water. Who am I working with between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m.? Hi, everyone. Sending love. Okay. Well, you're always thinking of water. You're always looking at living on water too, aren't you, Damaris? Are you still here? Okay. Let's see. Hey, Donna Marie. Thanks for coming in. Look, Annie Bear, do a 90-minute show, please. I usually keep mine limited at hour because I start really fading.
Yeah, you guys have no idea how.
It takes a lot of energy to do these shows because we're channeling, we're looking at the chat, our energy is all over. What are you laughing at?
Jewel of the sea.
Oh my gosh, look at that, Damaris.
There you are. That's you at 3 a.m. saying, I'm up.
I just heard that you're working with the beings of Sirius B.
And she's working with something that looks like a little bitty water dragon.
Yeah, they are water people. That is a water planet, Sirius B. Those are the dolphins, the whales. And I feel like you're working the whales. It's the whales. Damaris, you're working with the whales.
It's because you expand with the mysteries of life. The sea is a reminder that there's much more about all of us than everyone can see in our still depths.
Damaris, are you still in Texas? I think she's still in Texas.
Oh God, I hope you're on the coast.
No, she's looking at moving though. They've been looking at moving for a while now. I was just wondering if she's still there or she had moved yet.
Every time you immerse yourself in water, you need to open your heart and your energy up to absorb the incredible energy of the water around you, whether it's a bath or swimming. Visualize its purifying and healing properties sinking deep into your aura and your body. If you're showering, visualize all those negative ideas washing right off your body and down that drain.
Yes. And also I'm seeing washing dishes, water flowing on your hands. Yes, in Texas at the moment, but things are going right along. Good. Because I think
you were the hills
moving on a lake, wasn't it? That the Maris, you were
moving
to Mexico on a lake. Is that what you're still planning on doing? So anyway, there's a good reason why you're dreaming of water because you're associated with the water. Sirius B is a water planet.
Mm-hmm.
Lake Chapala, Mexico. I don't know if I'm saying Chapala right, but yes, she's moving. She's been called to move to the water. She's actually hasn't like, oh, let me move. That's just calling her to move.
Mm-hmm.
You have a home with a pool there. Oh, there's a home with a pool there. Okay, good, Damaris. So anyway,
Mexico's wonderful. Jeffrey absolutely adores living in Mexico.
Yeah.
He said he's not sure he'd still be alive if he was in New York City.
Really?
Yeah, he said he said that night was the night to choose to live or die when his apartment burnt. You wonder what the hell happened.
I can remember reading on him, and I remember thinking Mexico is the place he needed to be. That's way
well,
before
his Venus if you do astrocartography, his Venus, the line for his Venus when it run it down the map goes right through Mexico City.
Yeah. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you
for one
being...
last ad, Dr. Gail.
What was that?
One last commercial for me.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm starting tarot classes again. They start on the 16th, which is a Wednesday night, or 19th, which since you're here on a Saturday, apparently you have time on Saturdays, Saturday afternoon. It's a 6 weeks course, and then there's 3 extra weeks tacked on if we decide to do it, where we practice read. You will be able to read cards at the end of this course. You will be able to understand the deck. You won't read it as fast as I do, but I teach it with Jeffrey Bright Color. That's why I remembered, oops, Jeffrey killed me if I was on here and didn't do that. And we'd love to have you come. You can read about it on my page. Jeffrey has just written 2 books, one on shadow work, which is not part of our course, but we are giving away his other work, which is a breakdown of keywords for the tarot, which comes with the course.
All right, everybody. Thanks. My next show will be Wednesday, and I have a new guest coming on, and it's going to be bringing light into the darkness. So we'll be talking about a little bit more about negative entities and things on that show.
That ought to be a real interesting show next week, because I see a lot of light pouring in next week.
Yeah, so yeah, she's a delight, and she has a lot of information. She's already written 2 books about it. I think 2. She might be on her 3rd one. Anyway, all right, thanks everybody. We'll see y'all. Well, you have a show tomorrow.
Yeah, at 10 in the morning, and it's all politics. So if politics makes you barf, don't show up. But I'm really hardcore. Since the election, I've been telling people the only way out of this is for each of us to find our own center self, find our own spiritual base, and move from there. And we try to help you do that. We try to put it and frame it.
All right, everybody. Thank you. We'll see y'all later. Enjoy your weekend. All right. Bye-bye.